It's 1989 all over again. Or is it? This is the Sega Genesis Mini by Sega. It's getting released this September. I want to thank them for the review copy. And what I'm going to do today is do an unboxing, look at all the hardware, do a comparison to other minis, do a comparison to the original Genesis, look at all the games, look at all the features, look at everything to do with this unit. So let's just start with an unboxing. So here's the box right here, just so you can see this. And if you can see on the back, it says 40 classic games come with this. And they've added 2 bonus games. The 2 bonus games are Tetris and Darius. Now let's just open this right up here for you guys to see. And the first thing we're going to take out is the Genesis Mini. And it's a lot smaller than you think it's going to be. You're like, oh my god, this is really tiny. You forget how small some of these minis can be. Here we go. Let's just take this out. There is the Sega Genesis Mini in all of its gigantic glory. It's very small. I was surprised how small it is. And here, we'll do a comparison because I have it in my hand. Here's the Super Nintendo Classic. Here is the NES Classic in comparison. And also, here is the original Sega Genesis compared to this model. Isn't that super fun right there? It's 55% of the original Model 1 size, so that is really interesting. Some things to note on here. The adjustable headphone slider here. This accomplishes absolutely nothing. I had to write to Sega myself and say, hey, what does this thing do? It doesn't do anything. It's purely cosmetic. So what else do we get in the box? We get a USB power cable, which we hook up right here, like so. That plugs in the back of the Sega Genesis Mini. We get one HDMI cable to hook it up to your high definition TV. And we get 2 controllers. And let's take a look at these right here. Here are the controllers. The original size that I got for Christmas all those years ago. And I remember marveling going, oh my god, these controllers are so massive. These buttons are gigantic. It's ridiculous. And I was a smaller kid back then, so it seemed even bigger to me. And I'm going to do something here. I'm going to compare them to the original controller and show what I think are some of the differences, which are very little. Okay, it looks exactly the same. And just as a note, you can't grab your original Sega Genesis controller and plug it into the Mini. No, the Mini comes with 2 USB controllers. All right, so what is the difference? The sizing, everything, layout, color, exactly the same. The only difference is the D-pad on the original is a little bit shinier compared to the Mini here. But other than that, they're exactly the same. And last but not least, you get an instruction manual showing you how to hook everything up and hooking it up to your high definition TV. Honestly, it's super simple. It won't take you any time to do it. So as I said at the beginning of the video, this has 42 games on it. And here's the great news about this. All of the conversions were handled by the legendary Japanese company M2. So I'm here to say that I played all of these games. I've gone through all of them. I've had a really good time trying them all out. How do they play on this hardware? This is the original Model 1 hardware from 1989 as well. How do they play? Perfectly, flawlessly. I was unbelievably blown away by how smooth everything played. Everything felt right. Nothing seemed out of sync or lagging in any way. Now, from the menu, you can access the 42 games. There's quite a few games to get through. Here's the thing, you can sort them in any way that you choose. So you can choose them from A to Z, just from the titles A to Z, or you can do them by release date, the release dates that they were released back in the day. Or you can also sort them for what games are multiplayer games that you can play with your friends. You can play the games in widescreen or 4:3. Obviously, you want to pick 4:3, but the option is there if you want to play widescreen. You can pick different wallpapers for when you're playing in 4:3 mode. Obviously, I always pick the black so I don't have anything around the edges of my gameplay. There's also another option in there to add scan lines to your games. You can turn this on or turn this off. This is a personal preference. I played it with Altered Beast. And yes, it was like playing on my original standard definition TV in my parents' basement, but my God, it was really strong. And I was like, I don't think I will ever play with the scan lines on. I just play the regular way, and that's more than good enough for me. The scan lines were a little unusual. Now, at any time when you're playing a game, you can hit the reset button here, or you can hit the start button here. You hold down the start button. It takes you to an inner menu. From there, you can save or load a game, or you can take yourself back to the main menu. So who is this machine for? Is it for all the older people out there that got this Christmas morning like me? Absolutely. But this is also for a younger generation that can go and discover Sonic the Hedgehog for the first time, the Phantasy Star series for the first time, Streets of Rage for the first time. I mean, this machine is packed full of so many great games like Shining Force. I spent a lot of my time playing Fantasy Zone. I have never played this version of Fantasy Zone, and I really was enjoying it. And I think this is a really great way to play some great old school Sega classics and learn about the history of Sega. I really think there's a history lesson here, and I think it's been presented in a wonderful way. I think this is a really well done mini console, and I think for anybody out there who's been looking forward to it, it's lived up to it, honestly. There's a lot of games on there. They all play really, really well. I had a really good time playing the Sega Genesis Mini. So anyways, guys, until next time.